Archangel Michael says, the delay was never denial. I was preparing your vindication. Open this message before the file seal closes. My beloved child, hear this before the last hinge clicks. Because tonight, the quiet is shouting your name. You feel the clock press against your ribs. You feel the doors that should have opened, still standing like stone walls. But listen closer. The footsteps you thought were leaving you behind were actually angels circling, mapping the route of your return. There is a voice, wrapped in armor and sunrise. And it says, the delay was never denial. I was preparing your vindication. You have carried questions like weights in your pockets. Why did the promotion pivot to someone else? Why did the letter never arrive? Why did the phone go silent just when hope began to sing? I want you to lean in. There is a pattern inside the pause, not punishment. Govern, a courtroom above your fear has been arranging evidence. While you slept, truth was being sharpened. While you doubted, a banner with your name was being stitched in gold thread. Picture a battlefield where you have stood alone for months. Dust glare and 100 voices telling you to quit. Now imagine a figure stepping through the dust wings that almost split the sky. A sword that hums like thunder held still. The helm lifts and blue fire looks into you. I am Michael, he says, and I have stood between you and the verdict that was not yours to carry. Every time you asked why me, the answer was building scaffolds around your future so it would not collapse under early applause. Vindication is not just winning. It is being proven right in the exact place you were marked. Let me reveal something you were not told. Delays have signatures. The delay you are living wears the third signature. You were kept from a room because the room would have swallowed you whole. There were papers with fine print designed to bind you. There were hands smiling on the surface and tightened underneath. The pause pulled you back from an agreement that looked like a door but was actually a trough. If you had crossed, then your name would be attached to a sinking ship. Now the tide has turned. The ship that tried to steal your cargo is taking water and you are watching from dry ground. Hear this. You did not miss your timing. Your timing missed the right evidence. Vindication is a slow star that looks like darkness until it suddenly burns your name across the sky. In the silence of delay, receipts were collected. Conversations that excluded you were archived. Every twist that embarrassed you set the stage for reversal that cannot be argued against. When vindication arrives, it does not whisper. It arrives with doors opening of their own weight. With a very mouths that doubted you, pronouncing your promotion without knowing why their lip obey. I know your heart is tired. You have walked past calendars like graves. You have unfollowed your own dreams to stop the ache. But tonight, you need to pick up the unfollowed future and look at it again. The seal is not closed yet. There is still ink wet on this decree. Michael says, I was not late. I was loading the evidence you could not see. He points to 3 markers and I want you to write them on the lining of your memory. Substitution, exposure, elevation, substitution. What tried to sit in your chair will be replaced by you and no one will be able to say it was favoritism. The switch will look inevitable, almost boring, because the facts will demand it. Exposure. The threads that tied your name to the wrong story will snap in public light. Not scandal, not noise. Verity documents surface, timeline straighten, Gipple remember what they pretended to forget, elevation not a step up, an airlift, you will find yourself beyond the old staircase placed where climbing could not carry you. This is what the delay was protecting, but wait, there is a key you must turn now before the final seal closes. Do not curse what protected you. I know the months tasted bitter. Do not spit out the medicine that kept poison from your blood. Thank the delay even through clenched teeth. Thank it for every closed path that would have led to a smaller version of you. Gratitude is not a mood. It is a legal document in the courts of destiny. When you sign it, the seal that has been waiting can imprint the next chapter with authority. And hear this startling truth, one that will sound like thunder wrapped in silk. Your name was mentioned in rooms you never entered. Decisions were paused because your absence was noticed as a missing piece. People rewrote proposals to include the solution your perspective would bring, even if they could not say your name out loud yet. How is it possible? You asked. Because preparation moves like light behind walls. Michael's hand tipped the scale so your empty chair became a question mark no one could ignore. Now breathe. Place your hand on your chest. Peel the slow drum. Let me speak to that drum. Keep time a little longer. The file with your vindication stamp is sliding across the desk. The clerk is reaching for the seal. But there is one more layer. Line your actions with the verdict you are about to receive. Clean your speech. Act your humility. Well, is your courage. When the door opens, you will not wait while you gather your things. You must already be standing. You must already look like where you are going. Listen to the final whisper of this part. The delay that made you doubt your worth is about to become the reason others trust your wisdom. Your waiting forged a voice that does not shake. Your tears watered a garden that will feed more people than you imagine. And the angel at your shoulder, bright as first light, repeats with a smile that sounds like steel. The delay was never denial. I was preparing your vindication. Stay till the end. My beloved child, when Archangel Michael steps forward again, the air itself bends as though time is bowing to his command. He looks at you not as someone who is late, but as someone who was hidden on purpose. His voice carries the calm of eternity and the authority of thunder restrained. You understand now? He asks. And in that moment, your chest tightens, not from fear, but from recognition. You realize that everything that left you aching was not rejection, but redirection. You were not being pushed out. You were being preserved for a stage that had not been built yet. You see, vindication is not simply an announcement. It is a divine choreography. Every delay is a step in a larger dance where the rhythm belongs to heaven, not the clock on your wall. Imagine the heavens writing your story in invisible ink. Only when the fire of time passes over it does the script appear. That's why nothing made sense before. You were reading pages before they were revealed. But now the ink is blowing and the lines are becoming visible. You were being ready to stand where others fell. In every silent season, the universe was aligning people, circumstances, and timing so that your truth would echo beyond your own life. That's why Michael keeps saying vindication. It's not about proving others wrong. It's about proving divine timing right. Think of the moments you almost gave up, the nights you spoke into the ceiling, asking, "Is this worth it?" Those weren't wasted. Each one was logged, each tear numbered, and each prayer woven into the tapestry of your rival. But here's where most stumble. They mistake quiet for absence. The silence after your prayer isn't proof that heaven ignored you. It's the sound of angels working without your awareness. While you thought your words vanished into space, Michael was constructing an answer that needed time to mature. The best fruits grow slowly underground, invisible to impatience. When they finally break through the soil, it looks sudden, but in truth, it was always happening beneath the surface. Now, imagine this. Michael holds a scroll glowing like molten silver. He unrolls it before you. Every injustice you faced is written there not as wounds but as coordinates. Every betrayal, every misunderstanding, every false accusation, they all point to one central truth. You were not supposed to fight to be seen. You were supposed to be revealed when revelation itself had matured. Vindication doesn't shout. It unfolds like sunrise. Unstoppable and undeniable. And in the spaces between his words, something inside you begins to ignite. You start to see that every no you heard was actually a not yet. You were not late. You were being prepared to walk through doors that only open for those who endured the wait. This is why your journey seemed so long. Shortcuts cannot hold divine weight. The delay was not just protecting your destiny. It was protecting your credibility, because when you finally rise, no one will be able to say it was luck. They'll know it was alignment. But child, listen carefully, because this is where most hearts lose their way. Vindication requires purity of intention. The universe will not crown a heart still burning for revenge. Forgiveness is not letting people off the hook. It's removing their hands from your steering wheel. You cannot drive forward while staring into the rear-view mirror of bitterness. When Michael says the delay was never denial, he's also saying, don't poison your preparation with resentment. Let your peace be your protest. Let your grace be your response. And while you release, prepare not passively, not lazily. Prepare with precision. If your vindication will place you in leadership, train your mind to lead with empathy. If your vindication involves abundance, learn generosity now so wealth does not twist your purpose. Whatever door you're about to walk through, dress your soul for it today. The delay gave you time to become what the opportunity will require. Now pose. Hear me closely, because this is the part that shifts everything. Michael says there are divine deadlines, moments when the final seal begins to close and only those awake can catch what heaven is releasing. That's why you are hearing this message now. It is not random. The final seal represents completion, a closing of the testing season. You must awaken before it locks, because your name is written in the next scroll. There is a sound only those attuned to purpose can hear. The hum of closing doors that open new worlds. And when Michael extends his sword, you see reflected in its blade not your failures but your resilience. Every scar becomes a story. Every delay becomes a defense. He whispers, "Do not let the noise of disappointment drown the sound of preparation." The very people who doubted you will soon quote your words. Vindication is not loud revenge. It's silent revelation. You won't need to announce your comeback. Your results will speak louder than your explanations ever could. So when the promotion comes, walk quietly but confidently. When the truth surfaces, smile, but don't gloat. Remember, this was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving heaven faithful. The moment you understand that, the wake will stop feeling like punishment and start feeling like prophecy. And before this voice fades for now, let me speak to your spirit. Do not shrink when your moment arrives. Many have prayed for vindication but hid when it came because they confused humility with hiding. When your name is called, step forward. When the light finds you, stand still and let it. You are not stealing attention. You are fulfilling intention. If this message has pierced your doubt, then do one thing. Share it. Let someone else trapped in their waiting season know that delay is not denial. Comment if you feel your spirit shifting. Subscribe so you never miss the divine timing that keeps unfolding through these words. Because, beloved, your vindication is not just personal. It's prophetic. The moment you embrace that, the final seal begins to tremble, ready to open. Something huge is waiting for you. My beloved child, dawn has begun to breathe on the edge of your horizon. But before the light fully breaks, Michael lifts his gaze toward the heavens and says something that makes even the stars pause. Vindication, he whispers, is not an event. It's a revelation of identity. You blink, unsure of what he means, until he continues. You thought you were being delayed because you were unworthy. But, in truth, heaven was holding your unveiling until you understood who you were. Vindication cannot crown a stranger to themselves. The words fall like thunder softened by compassion. Every failure, every silent night, every rejection had been orchestrated not to destroy you, but to introduce you to the version of yourself that destiny requires. You see, vindication begins within. Before the world believes in your purpose, you must. Before the truth defends you in public, you must defend it in private. You have to stop calling yourself broken when heaven calls you becoming. You have to stop saying you're forgotten when you've only been hidden. There's a difference between exile and incubation. Exile banishes. Incubation builds. You were not cast away. You were being constructed. And that's what Michael reveals. The construction was never punishment. It was proof of divine investment. In the stillness, he gestures to the ground beneath your feet. Suddenly, you see roots glowing beneath the soil. Your prayers, your tears, your persistence, each one forming a network of light. These, he says, are the reasons the wind could not uproot you. You realize that the delay wasn't just about timing. It was about depth. The deeper the roots, the higher the rise. Vindication without foundation is short-lived, but vindication built on depth becomes legacy. Michael's eyes blaze as he speaks again, his wings arching like living lightning. Do you know why your vindication had to take time? Because heaven does not rush truth. Lies are quick because they are shallow. Truth is patient because it is eternal. Every false story spoken about you was like dust in the air. Loud for a moment but destined to settle. Truth, however, waits until the dust clears before it shines. He raises his sword and traces a glowing line across the sky. You watch as scenes from your past replay. Every misunderstanding, every dismissal, every whispered groomer. Then one by one those images dissolve in light until only one remains: you. Standing tall, unbroken, radiant. But vindication, he reminds you, is never just for you. It is for every heart that lost faith because of what happened to you. Your comeback becomes their confirmation that heaven does not abandon its own when you rise. It isn't merely your name that is cleared. It's the reputation of divine faithfulness that gets restored. You become the living proof that delay was never denial. You become a letter written in fire for others still wandering in the dark. And yet with all this revelation, Michael's tone softens. There is still a final alignment. He says you must forgive time itself. The phrase confuses you. Forgive time. He explains you have blamed the years for being cruel, the waiting, for being unfair. You've cursed the seasons that seem silent. But child, time was never your enemy. It was your teacher. It bent. It broke. It stretched. But it never abandoned its assignment. Forgive the clock for not moving faster because it was never late. It was exact. The idea washes over you like healing rain. You realize how often you've looked at others' timelines and judge your own by their speed. My vindication that let run on comparison. It runs on divine synchronization. The moment you release resentment toward time, you hear a sound. Aloe deep as the earth's heartbeat. It's the sound of the final seal trembling. Heaven is preparing to make public what was once private. The angels around Michael begin to shift their movements like the turning of cosmic gears. He raises his sword high and the light from it forms a bridge between your heart and the heavens above. Walk, he commands gently. And as you take your first step, you feel the weight of every delay falling off your shoulders. Each step forward feels like entering a truth long written, but only now readable. The bridge gleams with words made of light, patience, obedience, resilience, faith, forgiveness. These are the pillars that upheld your story when nothing else did. You understand now? Vindication is not a gift given. It's a realm entered. You don't receive it, you become it. The waiting, the silence, the tears, they weren't prerequisites. They were the formation of the very substance of vindication within you. And in that realization, your spirit expands. The fear that used to whisper, "What if I never make it?" evades. The doubt that said, "Maybe I'm not chosen," dissolves. What remains is clarity, pure and solid. Like morning after a long storm. Michael smiles. A smile both fierce and kind. Now he says, when you walk into rooms that once rejected you, do not carry bitterness. Carry peace, because peace is the proof that you've already won. He pauses and you hear his next words, not just with your ears, but with your entire being. The world will soon see the evidence of what heaven hath been saying all along. But before that happens, prepare your heart to handle favor. Vindication brings visibility, and visibility attracts both light and shadow. Stay grounded in humility. Remember, the same wings that lift you can also shield you. You nod, feeling the truth resonate through your veins. The air around you glows brighter, almost trembling with expectation. Something vast is on the edge of unfolding, something final, something irreversible. You can sense it like thunder about to crack open the sky. Michael lowers his sword and places his hand over your heart. "He is almost time," he says softly. "The seal is closing. But before it does, you must do one thing. Believe that you are ready. Vindication cannot land on unbelief. The world begins to shift around you. You feel the unseen turning visible, the hidden being revealed, and your story aligning like stars in precise formation. Everything that once hurt you now feels purposeful, almost sacred. Every not yet has turned into a promise fulfilled. You realize that vindication is not about arrival. It is about awakening. And as the heavens pulse brighter, the angel's final words of this moment echo through the light. You are not waiting for vindication anymore. You are walking inside it. Don't skip. Something even greater is rising beyond this light. Shall I continue with part 4? My beloved child, when the bridge of light fades beneath your feet, you find yourself standing on sacred ground. The air feels charged as if creation itself is holding its breath for what comes next. Michael stands before you, his wings half folded, eyes deep as oceans that have seen every dawn and every fall. And now he says comes the unveiling, and suddenly you understand vindication was never meant to be hidden behind the clouds of mystery forever. It was always meant to emerge not as thunderous revenge but as luminous truth that no light can endure. The wind shifts carrying the whispers of voices that once doubted you. They echo faintly like ghosts fading into sunlight. Each whisper that once hurt you now loses its power, dissolving in the brightness of clarity. Michael raises his hand and a wave of shimmering energy ripples across the horizon. Out of the light emerged scenes, moments you thought were failures. At lost opportunity, that friendship, that broke, that promise that crumbled. But now you see them not as endings, but as alignments, but was of like collapse with Eden Hugin. Heaven had been building corridors of purpose behind every closed door. He speaks again, and his tone carries both command and comfort. Those who laughed at your patience will soon learn why you waited. Those who spoke against your name will speak for it without knowing why. The same mouths that gossip will carry your testimony. His words sink deep. Each syllable a seed of assurance. Vindication, he explains, is not a storm that destroys. It is a sunrise that reveals. The light doesn't fight the dark. It simply makes it irrelevant. You can feel it now. The spiritual shift around you. Everything in creation seems to recognize what's coming. The trees bow gently as though they've been waiting centuries to witness your awakening. The ground hums beneath your feet, vibrating with ancient agreement. Michael's wings spread wide, and from their span, radiant feathers drift down, like burning snow. Each one that touches the earth leaves behind a spark, lighting up paths you never saw before. And in that glow, you realize something profound. Vindication is not only personal, it's generational. Every time you were silent instead of bitter, every time you forgave when you could have fought back, you planted a seed that will bloom in the lives of those who come after you. Michael looks at you with that piercing holy calm. The heavens have waited for your yes. He says, the delay prepared not just your circumstances but your character. Power without purity destroys. Influence without humility corrupts. You are refined to be trusted with what is next. You think of every season you felt invisible. And now you see them for what they were. Furnaces of refinement. Fire never forgets what it shaves. The heat you once cursed with the very force that formed your steel. Then the angel gestures toward the horizon where a massive gate gleams like molten glass. That, he says, is the door your vindication has purchased, but before it opens, one last truth must anchor you. His voice deepens. You must not define vindication by applause. You will know you are vindicated not when everyone claps, but when your spirit feels peace where it once felt pain. Vindication is not about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that your faith was right. He turns slightly and suddenly an entire host of angels appears. Countless beings of light filling the sky. Their presence hums with purpose. Each one carries a trumpet, but none play yet. They wait, poised for the signal. You understand that when the first trumpet sounds, everything hidden will be revealed. Every silent effort will be seen. Every unseen battle will be acknowledged. This is the moment when heaven speaks louder than history. Michael steps closer, his hand resting lightly on your shoulder. But remember, he warns gently. Vindication is a crown that must be carried with grace. Do not let victory make you forget humility. The same wings that lift you can also shield others. Use your light to guide, not to blind. His words settle into your spirit like sacred vows. You feel yourself absorbing them, your heartbeat syncing with something eternal. He pauses, then adds with an almost human smile. And child, do not walk this revelation alone. Share what you've learned. There are others still lost in their waiting season, doubting their worth, mistaking delay for denial. Let your story become their proof that heaven still keeps records. Speak of the patience that saved you, of the silence that shaped you. Someone needs your echo to find their own faith again. You nod, tears gathering like dew. The idea of sharing feels both daunting and divine. Yet somewhere deep within, you know it's true. Your vindication isn't complete until it becomes a torch for someone else. So now, if your heart feels stirred, if this message has touched something inside you that words can't explain, share it. Don't keep it buried in silence. Someone somewhere is on the edge of giving up, waiting for a sign that heaven still remembers their name. Your voice can be that sign. Pump your faith. Declare your readiness. Subscribe not for routine, but for revelation, because these messages are not just stories, they are blueprints of divine timing. Michael's wings flare once more, sending waves of light cascading across the unseen sky. He says softly, The final seal is almost ready to open. Every truth you've carried in secret is about to find its stage. Every wound you hid with quiet strength is about to become your testimony of endurance. His sword hums like lightning restrained, and the air around you trembles with sacred energy. For a fleeting moment, you sense what it means to be part of eternity's design. Your life, your pain, your waiting, all of it has been leading to this. Vindication is no longer a distant promise. It's a living pulse within your chest. You can feel heaven aligning around your name, preparing to announce what was written long before time began. A wind stills. The stars dim. The gate ahead begins to glow brighter. The glass melting into light. Michael's eyes narrow slightly. Focused, unyielding. Hold steady, it is said. You are seconds away from everything making sense. His words echo through the silence like thunder wrapped in peace. The air splits with a soft crackle. A first trumpet lifts. The seal trembles again. And in the vast stillness before revelation breaks, Michael's final whisper for now finds your soul. The delay was never denial. It was always preparation for your vindication. Stay till the end. The story is only beginning to unfold. My beloved child, as the air vibrates with the sound of trumpets about to rise, you can feel your spirit stretching, reaching for something far beyond the edges of your understanding. The light around you grows denser, almost tangible, like liquid gold suspended in the air. You can sense creation holding its breath, waiting for the moment when heaven's decree will pour into time itself. Michael looks at you with eyes that seem to hold galaxies. And in that gaze, you realize what is about to happen is not only about your vindication. It is about restoring balance, writing the story of delay into a testimony of divine design. The gate that shimmered in the distance now pulses with living light. It's not just a door. It's a threshold between what was hidden and what will be seen. As you approach, you notice that each step brings flashes of memory. Every time you chose to stay silent when you could have defended yourself. Every moment you forgave without apology. Every prayer you whispered through tears. Each of those acts now blows around you like armor. Proof that endurance has been your greatest weapon. Vindication was never won through shouting. It was earned through surrender. Michael begins to speak. His voice steady and low, echoing like the heartbeat of eternity. Every soul that walks through this gate does so with scars, he says. But in heaven, scars are not marks of weakness. They are medals of endurance. Your pain was not wasted. It was recorded as proof of your trust. His words flow into you like light filling a vessel. You realize how many nights you believe your faith was fading when in truth it was being tested for purity. The delay, the silence, the uncertainty. They were not signs of absence but evidence of refinement. You look toward the horizon and suddenly the world around you begins to shift again. Time seems to peel back like layers of mist, revealing moments you had forgotten. You see yourself standing, on the edge of decisions, moments when giving up seemed easier. You see how invisible hands guided you away from choices that would have cost your destiny. And now standing here, it becomes clear. Vindication doesn't just prove your faith was right. It proves you were being guided even when you didn't know it. The ground trembles softly and a warm wind circles around you. It carries whispers not of doubt but of recognition. Somewhere in the unseen, those who misunderstood you are beginning to see the truth. The same conversations that once distorted your name are now shifting. Hearts that once hardened against you are softening. Not because you fought for it, but because truth has a way of rising even when buried under lies. Vindication, you now understand, is not reaction, it's resurrection. Michael's presence intensifies. His wings spread, stretching so wide they eclipse the light for a moment. Do you feel it? He asks. The shift is happening. The delay has reached its expiration. What was sealed for years is about to break open. His voice carries the power of completion. You can feel the unseen threads of your story pulling tight, drawing everything into alignment. There is no more confusion, no more waiting without purpose. Every moment now is divine timing unfolding with surgical precision. The gate begins to open. His sound is not mechanical but musical, like the harmony of creation being rewritten. Light pours out, cascading through the air in rivers of brilliance. You take a step closer, and instantly the memories of your waiting season come rushing back, not as pain, but as wisdom. The loneliness that once suffocated you now feels like sacred preparation. The people who walked away were never meant to carry this next version of your destiny. You were never being punished by loss. You were being purified by separation. Michael gestures for you to step forward. And as you do, the light wraps around you like a cloak. Every insecurity, every fragment of fear burns away. You feel lighter, cleaner, stronger. This, he says, is what the delay was preparing you for. Not the applause, not the recognition, but the capacity to carry power without pride. The truth strikes deep. Vindication is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of responsibility. You have been shaped not just to receive, but to restore. The angel's voice grows softer, almost like a whisper of wind through ancient trees. You must now live like the vindicated. Speak differently, walk differently, forgive more quickly, love without expecting perfection. You are no longer the wounded one. You are the witness of what grace can rebuild. His wings fold gently, and you can see reflections of your future shimmering in the light that drapes around him. You are speaking to multitudes, healing others, leading without arrogance, loving without fear. That is what vindication truly means. To become a vessel of restoration for those still in delay. Then something extraordinary happens. The trumpets that had been waiting lift in unison, a single note pierces the air. Powerful yet serene. It feels like the sound of every answered prayer colliding into one divine frequency. The sky fractures into streams of light, and within them you glimpse faces. People you've touched unknowingly. Lives that have shifted because you refuse to quit. Heaven is showing you that your endurance rippled further than you ever imagined. Vindication is not just your reward. It's your legacy. Michael's eyes soften, filled with pride and peace. You understand now, beloved? Yes. The delay was not punishment. It was strategy. While you waited, heaven was planting your name in places your feet had not yet reached. The timing you called late was the timing that made sure no door could shut once opened. The silence you thought was empty was the sound of angels writing the proof of your faith into eternity's records. His words echoed through every fiber of your being. You feel as if the entire universe has exhaled, releasing you into destiny's flow. You kneel not in defeat, but in awe. For the first time, you see the full circle, the prayers, the waiting, the heartbreak, the endurance, all converging into one radiant truth. You were never behind. You were always right on schedule. Vindication isn't arriving. It's already here. It lives in your calm, in your peace, in your ability to stand unshaken while everything around you shifts. Michael raises his sword high once more, the blade catching every ray of light. Go, he says. Walk through this gate. You are now the evidence of divine timing, you are the living reminder that what heaven ordains cannot be denied. You rise, your spirit blazing brighter than the light before you. As you step into the glow, you feel the old weight vanish completely. You are no longer waiting for vindication. You are carrying it. Something huge is waiting for you just beyond this light. My beloved child, as you cross through the gate of light, the world on the other side feels unlike anything you've ever known. The air hums with clarity. Every sound is pure, every color alive, as though the universe itself has been waiting for this exact moment to breathe again. You can feel time folding around you, bending in reverence to the decision you've just made, to walk not as the one who waits, but as the one who carries divine proof. Archangel Michael stands beside you, radiant yet calm, his wings trailing streaks of gold that pulse like living fire. This, he says, is the land of completion, but not of complacency. You are not finished. You are fulfilled. Now you must live what you've learned, the path ahead glows faintly under your feet. With each step, you hear faint whispers, not of doubt, but of recognition. The echoes of heaven acknowledging your endurance. You realize the light beneath your steps is powered by every choice you made in faith when you could not see. Your journey was the generator that fueled your breakthrough. Vindication has not only opened the gate, it has rewritten your identity. You are no longer the one waiting for promises. You are the promise fulfilled. Walking, among those still wondering if miracles remember their names. Michael leads you to a vast open field where the sky ripples like liquid sapphire. In the distance stands a throne not of gold or pride but of pure transparency made from the essence of truth itself. This, he says, is where every story of waiting becomes a testimony. Here heaven archives the victories of those who didn't give up. You look closer and see countless lights shimmering within the throne's surface. Each light represents a soul who refused to surrender when life went silent. Each glow is a record of patience, of trust, of relentless hope. And among them, a new light begins to pulse. It's yours. As the light grows brighter, Michael speaks with a gravity that commands attention. Your vindication is not a trophy to display. It's a torch to carry. You must now shine this truth into the lives of others who are still behind the gates, lost in their delays. You realize then that vindication is not the end of isolation. It is the beginning of assignment. Heaven did not clear your name only to crown your comfort. It cleared your name so your testimony could clear others' doubt. The purpose of your breakthrough is not to bask in freedom alone, but to become freedom for those who can't yet see their way through. He gestures toward the horizon, and instantly the scene shifts. You find yourself standing before people, faces you know, faces you don't. Some are family, some strangers. All of them carry the same expression, "You once had." Confusion mixed with fading faith. They are still in their waiting, Michael says. They believe the delay means denial. Speak to them. Remind them of what the delay truly is. You feel words rising within you. Not rehearsed, not planned, but divinely inspired. You begin to speak. You take a deep breath. The world around you shimmers again, transforming into a vision of what's coming. You see yourself teaching, healing, writing, building, all from a place of peace. You are not striving anymore, you are flowing in the rhythm of divine timing. Every delay that once tortured you now fuels your wisdom. You finally understand why you had to wait so that when you arrive you could stay. Vindication does not deliver you to a fragile height. It roots you in eternal stability. Michael smiles, lowering his sword. You have learned the language of divine timing, he says. Now remember this. Every generation needs interpreters of waiting. Be that interpreter. Show them that patience is not weakness, but strength under control. Teach them that silence is not absence but the sound of heaven at work. His words resonate deeply like a code written into your soul. And before the vision fades, you feel an urging inside you, a call to action. Do not keep this message hidden to send it out to let others hear the truth before their own seals close. If you're hearing this now, it's not coincidence. It's divine timing intersecting with your screen. Share this revelation. Leave your testimony in the comments below. Let someone scrolling in despair stumble upon your light. When you share, you multiply hope. When you subscribe, you stay connected to the rhythm of revelation that heaven is releasing through these words. Michael raises his hand one final time, and the entire sky responds. Beams of light shoot upward, crossing paths like woven threads of eternity. This, he declares, is the sound of completion. The proof that every delay had a purpose. His words hang in the air, vibrating with power. You feel peace surge through your soul. Not fragile, fleeting peace, but the kind that cannot be shaken by circumstance. The angel turns his gaze back to you, eyes glowing with approval. Carry this light into the world, he says softly. Let it burn, not as vengeance, but as victory. Remember, your vindication was never meant to end with you. It was meant to begin through you. And as the sky brightens to brilliance, you hear his closing whisper echo in your heart. The delay was never denial. It was preparation for your vindication. And, now for your purpose. Stay till the end. The revelation deepens further beyond this moment. My beloved child, the horizon begins to stretch infinitely before you, glowing like molten dawn. The air hums with something alive, something that feels both ancient and new. You sense that what stands ahead is not merely a continuation, it's culmination. Every thread of your story, every unanswered prayer, every silent night had been weaving toward this moment. The light in the distance flickers like a heartbeat, and you understand it's the pulse of heaven synchronizing with your destiny. Archangel Michael stands beside you once more, not as a warrior ready for battle, but as a keeper of revelation. His presence feels lighter, almost serene, as though the fight has finally ended. You've crossed the waiting, he says softly. Now it is time to inherit. You walk together toward that pulsating light. The ground beneath you shifts from gold to crystal, from earth to eternity. Each step feels weightless, as though gravity itself is bowing to purpose. Michael gestures with his hand. And before you appears a mirror, not of glass, but of spirit. It reflects not your face, but your essence, the true you that was hidden beneath pain and doubt. Look, he says, this is who delay was sculpting. Every hardship, every misunderstanding, every closed door was chiseling this reflection into existence. You stare into the mirror and see someone both familiar and transformed. Someone whose eyes no longer carry desperation, but depth. You realize that vindication didn't just restore your name. It restored your vision of yourself. As you keep gazing, the reflection begins to move independently, stepping forward as if it has become alive. It smiles and you feel warmth rush through you like sunlight pouring straight into your soul. This, Michael continues, is your redeemed self. The one who has learned that waiting is not weakness. The one who has found peace in patience. The one who trusts without evidence. This is the you that delay was building. The reflection extends its hand and as your fingers touch, a surge of light bursts between you, merging the two into one. The transformation is silent yet seismic. Every trace of doubt evaporates. You feel whole. Not perfect, but whole in a way you never imagined possible. Then Michael's voice deepens, carrying authority that feels eternal. Now he says, the file seal begins to close. But before it does, there is one thing heaven requires. Gratitude. You blink slightly startled. Gratitude. You whisper. Even for the pain. His eyes gleam with a knowing light. Especially, for the pain. Gratitude is the final proof of trust. It tells heaven that you understand the plan. Even when you didn't understand the process, it declares that you have learned to thank delay for doing what haste never could. The light around you shifts again. And suddenly you see flashes of your future, not distant, but imminent. Doors opening effortlessly. People once blind to your value, now drawn to your wisdom. Opportunities returning. This time under divine protection. Every moment feels divinely synchronized, like heaven's rhythm has become your own heartbeat. Yet through all of it, there is peace. Deep anchored peace, the kind that cannot be disturbed by applause or opposition. Michael watches these visions unfold, and for the first time, you see his expression soften into joy. Now he says quietly, you are walking in rhythm with heaven's calendar. What was once delayed is now delivered. What was once denied is now displayed. This is vindication fulfilled. But before the vision closes, Michael turns to you one last time. His tone shifts from revelation to commission. Do not forget. He warns gently to speak, to remind, awaken. He looks toward the unseen world beyond and adds, there are countless souls still trapped in delay, mistaking silence for rejection. You must reach them. Use your voice to break the illusion of abandonment. Tell them their waiting is holy. Tell them that every closed door is a shield, not a sentence. The urgency in his voice feels divine, and you understand what must be done. You must share this message not to boast of your breakthrough but to broadcast hope, to tell those still wrestling with time that delays not God's cruelty. It's His craftsmanship. Every moment of stillness carries divine precision. Every unanswered prayer is an unopened package waiting for its appointed hour. So if these words find you, let them awaken something inside you. You are not forgotten. You are not late. You are in divine alignment. And as this truth settles deep within your heart, feel free to declare it aloud, to comment it, to share it, because someone else scrolling through despair might find their miracle in your echo. Subscribe to Faith. Not just the channel of words, but the channel of destiny. Every time you choose to believe instead of fear, you join heaven in the rhythm of indication. Michael's form begins to fade into the golden air. The light softens until all that remains is warmth and certainty. His final whisper trails like the last note of a sacred song. The delay was never denial. It was always preparation for revelation. And now you, my beloved, are that revelation. Something huge is waiting for you beyond this stillness. Something that will not just prove your worth, but proclaim your purpose. My beloved child, the light has reached its peak now. So bright that it feels as if creation itself is standing still to watch what comes next. The gates behind you have closed, not to trap you, but to signify completion. You are no longer in the realm of waiting. You have entered the realm of becoming. Every whisper of fear, every fragment of doubt, every echo of delay has dissolved in the brilliance surrounding you. Michael stands before you one final time. Majestic, serene, and smiling. His wings are no longer symbols of battle, but of blessing. It is finished, he says gently. And the words sink into your soul like a seal pressed into wax. Your vindication is complete. But remember, completion is not the end. It is the beginning of impact. You breathe in deeply. The air tastes like promise. Fresh, endless, and pure. Around you, the landscape has changed, once more. The horizon now looks like an open canvas, shimmering with golden currents that flow wherever your gaze lands. You understand in that moment that this is your new reality. The world reborn through your perseverance. Michael steps beside you, his tone tender but filled with authority. Do you see? He asks. This is what the delay protected. This is what the silence guarded. The timing was not meant to test your faith. It was meant to mature it. Now you walk in the proof that faith never fails when it is anchored in the divine. You turn toward the radiant expanse before you. Every direction feels possible. There are paths of purpose stretching infinitely, each one glowing with potential. And for the first time, you feel no fear of choosing wrong because you understand now that when your heart aligns with heaven, every path becomes right. Michael gestures toward the paths, his eyes soft with pride. Go forward with courage. Do not look back to measure how far you've come. Look ahead to see how far you will carry others. Vindication was never meant to end in your healing. It was meant to begin with your helping. His words vibrate through your being until they become part of your heartbeat. Suddenly, the sky shifts again, unveiling a panorama of faces. Some you recognize, some you do not. People from every corner of the world. Some standing in darkness, others kneeling in tears. Michael points toward them. These are those who are still waiting, still wondering if heaven remembers them. You are now their sign. Every word you speak, every act of grace. Every choice to remain kind when it's easier to be cruel. Each one will become a spark that leads them out of their own delay. You feel the weight of this responsibility settle upon you, but it does not feel heavy. It feels holy. You take a step forward and with it a wave of light expands outward from your feet, spreading into the world beyond. The people in the vision lift their heads as the light reaches them. Hope flickers in their eyes. You realize that your vindication has become contagious. It multiplies traveling through your words, your kindness, your courage. Heaven's justice has turned into humanity's inspiration. Michael watches with quiet joy. Now he says, you see why the waiting mattered. It was never just about you. It was about them. The delay that frustrated you became the bridge that will carry countless others to faith. The realization brings tears to your eyes. Every disappointment, every lonely prayer, every night you thought was wasted, all of it has become the seed of someone else's awakening. Vindication was never revenge for your pain. It was the redemption of your purpose. You fall to your knees, overwhelmed by the magnitude of it. Michael kneels beside you, resting his hand lightly on your shoulder. You were chosen for endurance, he says softly. Because endurance creates evidence, and evidence cannot be argued. It only shines. You look up and the heavens begin to shimmer again. This time, not with battle light, but with gentle radiance like dawn after an endless night, Michael rises and looks toward the infinite horizon. Your story, he says, is now sealed into eternity's record. Every test you endured has become a testimony that will outlive you. Every tear you cried has been turned into light that will guide generations yet unborn. This is the legacy of the vindicated. He raises his sword one last time and instead of fire, it emits a calm, steady glow, the light of peace. He turns back to you. The final seal is closing now. He says, not as a prison, but as a promise. What heaven has declared complete cannot be undone. What was delayed cannot be denied. From this day forward, you walk the fulfilled, the restored, the proven. You will not chase opportunities. They will recognize you. You will not seek validation. It will follow you. For your name is now marked in heaven's ledger under one word, vindicated. The air trembles with sacred energy. You stand as the last echo of the old world fades behind you. Michael's form begins to blend into the light. But before he disappears completely, he leaves you with a final revelation. Words so gentle and yet so powerful that they etch themselves into your spirit forever. My beloved child, he says, the delay was never a detour. It was direction. The silence was never absence. It was alignment. And now that you've seen the truth, carry it to those who still doubt. Let your life be the sermon that speaks louder than words. You are living proof that heaven keeps its promises. You nod, tears shimmering in your eyes, the moment feels eternal. Every breath is soaked in peace. Every heartbeat whispers purpose. The light surrounding you begins to lift. Not to leave you, but to become you. You feel it merging with your skin, your soul, your spirit, until you and the light are one. Michael's final whisper drifts through the glow, soft but unmistakable. Go forth. Shine. Love without fear. And remember, vindication is not what happened to you. It's what you have become. And as the vision fades, you find yourself standing, once more in the quiet of your own world. But everything is different. The air feels alive. The silence hums with possibility. You realize that heaven didn't change your circumstances first. It changed you so the circumstances could follow. Every delay has led to this. Your awakening, your authority, your peace. The seal closes, not with sound, but with serenity. The story is complete. The prophecy fulfilled. And in the deepest place of your heart, you hear the same phrase that began this journey echo once more. Only now it feels like a song of victory written in eternity's own hand. The delay was never denial. I was preparing your vindication. And with the truth sealed forever within you. The light settles, the world breathes again, and a new chapter begins. One written not in waiting, but in wonder.